Right, for this month's crash course, we're here with Daryl Peck and we're looking at a seriously new edge in the Korda Armoury. But before we do, it's been a little while since we've seen you, mate.
Yeah, it's been a little while.
What have you been up to?
I haven't been doing so much fishing. This year I've been mainly writing my book, and so that's been taking up a lot more time. And I've recently started working for Korda, like obviously before I was a consultant, but now I'm in the marketing department, going to tackle shops, doing open days, like demonstrating the products in fish tanks and just answering general queries about carp fishing. And I'm not really there to sell the product. My sort of role is to educate people how to use it properly. So hopefully that if they do, they go out and catch on it. Hopefully then they continue to buy the product.
I mean, it's been nearly a year since we last saw you when you had that awesome fish out of the manor. You've had a couple of big ones since here, the Norfolk one.
Yeah, the Lenway charity fish.
Didn't take long, did it?
Didn't take that long, not quite as quick as Terry Ann. But yeah, I went down there sort of early April, caught fairly quickly from the off. It's mainly mid-doubles to sort of mid-20s, like the average short styers, stockies and that in there. But after 12 nights, I managed to get the big one as 49.5 pounds, yeah.
Awesome,
yeah. Tucker fish, yeah.
Oh well, all right then, mate. Well, as I say, we're here to look at a new edge from Korda, and that is these captors.
Yeah, they've been in sort of development for a very long time. What we have here is like the finished product, and what basically the difference are these compared to the old range of hooks is, well, these ones are PTFE coated, but colour added to obviously camouflage from the bottom. You get two colours, you get the weed green and the gravel brown. They're done in the wide gate range and the curve shank range.
Straight away you can see the benefits from it, can't you? I mean,
yeah.
A lot of people who say they've done underwater filming or photography, they say the most blatant thing is often the hook, isn't it? Yeah. You know, sort of shining, particularly when you're fishing in shallow, clear water. You sort of get that reflection. So
the whole hook is coated in this PTFE coating, apart from the point. If you imagine a point's like that and it's a finished point, as soon as you put a coating over it, you're adding thickness to the point, so it can't be as sharp as what it would without the coating. Where the barb would be from that bit to the top is not coated, so allowing it to be thinner, more sleeker, and a lot more sharper than what was originally on the old patterns.
So it's going to slip that in that much easier.
Yeah, more sticky, you just sort of catch hold to start with, and obviously once it goes past that point, it's in, you know.
Right, so you do them in the wide gapes and the curved shanks?
Yeah, they're the most popular patterns that Korda do. The curved shanks are sort of really good for the KD rig and the Muzzer rig that's been made quite famous in the magazines. My personal favourites are the wide gapes, especially when using like a soft braided hook link. I don't think you can beat them to like hook to land ratio. That's what I rely on in my big fish angling.
Excellent. Well, do you want to tie one of your rigs up?
Yep, one of my simple specials. Take it anywhere.
I love your rigs, Dale.
I believe that the hook is the most important part of any rig. You know, that's the bit that converts bites into takes, because at the end of the day, in every other type of fishing, you use a float or whatever, and you set the hook by striking at a bite. We're in carp fishing, we rely on the lead to set the hook. So the hook point is the most valuable thing you've got. Like, so paying attention to that will catch you extra fish. There's no doubt about that. Got some supernatural braid here. I've got the 18-pound weed green. Just tie a very basic loop overhand knot for the hair stop, just like so. I like the knot to sit inside the bait so the bait doesn't slide back and up and down like the hair itself. Tighten that, just give it a little tug on the pair of scissors. Trim off the excess tag that you don't need, nice and neat and tidy. Then a lot of people don't do this, they tie the rigs like freehand and guess the length of the hair. I think it's vitally important if you want to get your rigs consistent, is to tie it with the bait on, so that if you lose fish, you can alter things and get it right. And I've always found, especially with wide gapes in the sort of patterns that I use, that if the hair exits level with the point and that the boilie just brushes to the bottom of the bend, then I don't get hook pulls, I don't suffer that at all. But a lot of people can tie a knot that's not wrong, you know, and lose fish because they're not doing it accurately each time and don't understand why. So I'll show you how I do it. Thread the boilie onto the loop, like so. Like that. Take a little hair stop. So
it's like two different shades as well. You've got the green and the brown.
Yeah, green and brown to suit whatever lake bed you're on. You know, the brown's really good for gravel. But the thing is, they're both really good for silt as well. They're both dull colours, you know, very neutral and just blend in, you know. And I think it's quite important as well to balance your hook size to your bait size. So I've got a 14 mil boilie here, so I'm going to go with a size 8, which I've always found to be about right. Take the little rubber cap that protects the hook point, keeping it in tip-top condition. Vitally important with a knot does not always go through the back of the eye. It's amazing how many people I still see going through the other eye and just don't even think about it, you know. But until you've been shown, obviously, it's an easy mistake to make. Like I say, I bring the boilie up just level with the bottom of the bend there, so there's a little bit of clearance. And then by holding the boilie and holding the hook by finger and thumb like so, I've trap the hair length, it's going to stay the same. Always wind on the side of the hook where the eye doesn't close, because obviously if it pulls tight on the side it closes, it could damage the hook link. So always first turn against the round side. So I don't count the turns. With braid I wind down, just wind down the shank like so. Not on top of each, always like the next turn down, make sure it doesn't loop over itself. Go down. To allow for tightening, I'll go just past the point. So probably just above where the barb would be. This is a barber's one.
Yep.
Through the back of the eye again, always the back. Pull it tight, and if you say as I tighten the knot up, it will move up, and that's now just a little bit below the point, so I twist the knot a little bit, and now that is absolutely spot on. Boily, hair, exactly where I wanted it. Exiting exactly on the middle of the shank, important, you know, the middle opposite the point across here. You don't want it hanging off the side of the hook, you want it there.
Right.
And obviously, what happens, obviously, the fish picks up the bait, because that's what it's after. If you just look, the hook is already hanging in the right position just by picking up the bait here. So just by tying the knot correctly and getting the hair length right. I don't use shrink tube, but there's definitely a place for it, you know, for turning hooks to make it turn. But I don't rely on this sort of factor. I believe that the carp pick up the bait, turn left or right, and I usually get them in the side of the mouth. So a lot of people say go for the bottom of the lip, and if you want to achieve that, then shrink tube's a definite edge. But I always like to think less is more, less on my rigs, less for them at sea, and very inconspicuous. I generally would tie this about 6 to 8 inches if I get a swivel. I always use a 4-turn grinner knot. I only go once through the eye because I've never found the need for it twice through the eye. Pull it up for about, say I want it 7 inches, I'll start at about 5 or 6 like that to allow for the tightening of the knot. Make a loop that's parallel to the hook link and go through the loop 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. A little bit of saliva, and then that will just slide up and extend to the length that I want, which is, like I say, about 7 inches. Although it looks very simple, you could take that anywhere and you can catch any fish on a rig like that.
More recently, you know, you've done really well at Gigantica, didn't you?
Yep, over there I was fishing at quite long range, so I was using a shock leader to light line, and because of this reason I couldn't use my ever faithful. I always use inline leads. I showed this last time that was on Carp TV. Inline leads don't pass over a shock leader not so well, so I had to drop that. I used a hybrid leg clip with a little bit of gravel tubing about this sort of length. It was just basically 2 inches longer than the rig. Right. If you use net tangle tubing, it has to be just a little bit longer than the rig. 3.5 ounce distance lead with a little silicone sleeve over the swivel to keep it all neat and tidy, and a tail rubber over the hybrid leg clip. And yeah, braided hook link, much the same as what I've just shown here. A little bit larger scale. I was using the size 6 barbless and 18-20mm boilie. That's again balancing your hook size to your boilie size. And yeah, after I changed that setup, because I had a couple of hook pulls on size 8s, and then I moved up to the size 6, and then I landed 22 out of 23 bites on barbless hooks. So it just proves that if your rigs tie consistently well, then it will land the fish that you're after, you know what I mean?
Because there hadn't been many other bites around the lake, are there, around that time? You battered them, didn't you, mate?
I've done really well, you know. I was quite lucky. Tom had been in the swim the week before me, already got the area rocking. He had, I think he landed 9 fish out of 12 takes in a week. And then I got in there myself and had 25 takes in 5 days. So awesome. Yeah, it was pretty good going.
And a good amount of big ones in there as well?
I had 47, 46 and quite a few 30s as well, yeah, so it was a good week.
Bucket stuff.
Yeah, not quite as good as Ali though, with a 70-pound date on his first bite, you know what I mean? Well, that's just the way the cookie crumbles, isn't it? Okay, look, not only are they sharper, the new captors that we have here, they're, the old ones here are standing out much more brightly, and they, in their day, and still to this day, are better than original hooks for camouflage on the bottom. But you can clearly see here the coloured PTFE coating on the new captors is definitely blending in with the lake bed better, and that can only increase your chances of fish. And as you can see here, we were looking in like 2 inches of water, but if you imagine 4, 5, 6 foot, the darker and murkier it gets, they're going to be even more camouflaged. And like I say, it's only going to increase your chances of catching more fish.